You come back to the city council, you said, they're asking us to do a lot of things that are in our jurisdiction, we shouldn't be told what to do, and that's why we don't want to have a joint agreement, something to that effect. And that's when I started saying, well, then let's at least have a memorandum, something. Because it was about dead at that point. It wasn't moving forward. And so it was me that said, let's have an MOU at least, something that we're understanding or talking about. I guess part of the question could be, is an MOU better than nothing? And depending on the votes on our council, I guess, and is an interlocal better than an MOU, but is there the support for it? And I would at least want to see an MOU. I didn't have particular issues with the joint agreement, but some of our staff did. We hire them. We need to have the value of why they thought there was things. If you could resurrect 3 or 4 of those that you thought were concerns, it would maybe be helpful to help understand why staff had a little bit of reservation.
What's the council's opinion? I mean, back to Mike Davis's question. What does the council say? Have you heard enough from your staff? Do you think you have enough information to say whether or not you would like to do an interlocal?
Let me ask the county first. Is the county in agreement that they prefer interlocal rather than an MOU? Sounds like you two want interlocal. What's the county?
Interlocal.
Well, I think that's when we started down that road.
Interlocal.
Interlocal. Okay. Well, that's good to know. My point was trying to get something, because there were several on the city council that said, we don't want to be prosecuted, and I agree with that. We don't want to have the county prosecute the city. But I do feel like there needs to be more teeth here, even in an MOU. If we can't get more teeth, then maybe we need to consider the interlocal.
Well, this agreement has a process for.
Yes, but it's very vague.
Pretty detailed on it.
Probably we're lucky it's vague.
Are you talking about
The interlocal.
the interlocal or this MOU?
This interlocal with red edges has the language in on how you settle differences.
But I'd like to thank you, council member, for answering the question directly. The city, or at least Councilmember Franco's position is, it's not good for the city to put themselves in a position where the county could litigate against the city. Is that correct? Is that the way the rest of you feel, Wayne and Ron and Jeff?
I'm in favor of an interlocal agreement myself, but I'd rather see an MOU than nothing. That's why I said it the way I did.
I got you.
Just one vote.
Where are you at, Wayne? Do you agree? Yeah, you don't want to get into a legal entanglement with the county. What's your opinion, Jeff? Do you agree with that?
I think I prefer an MOU. I wouldn't rule out an interlocal.
I don't think Jeff Smith would be opposed for me speaking on his behalf, and he says he's not really interested in signing anything.
I've talked to Jeff about that too. Thank you, the 4 of you, for answering it directly. Because at least we have a starting point. We know where we're at. So then, I guess for the county council, what we need to do is decide, would we rather have an MOU or nothing? Because the majority of Heber City has just told us they don't want an interlocal.
I don't want an interlocal where we're going to be sued and then there's litigation or be audited.
And that's the
But I am
potential.
interested in perhaps an interlocal where we can flesh out this kind of stuff and we can make it as strong as possible for what both sides agree to. Because this is not perhaps as meaty as I would like.
But I think the problem, though, is that if it's something that's meaty, that would mean that the county would be able to bring litigation. I mean, otherwise there's no
Not that
pressure.
meaty. Not that was meaty.
Right, but then, I mean, it's either bite or no bite, unfortunately, the way I understand it. But, so for the county council, would we rather have an MOU or nothing? I'd rather have an MOU, I'll speak first. I'd rather have an MOU than nothing.
Why don't we start with that? Tony and Doug have been doing a good job working together and kind of creating some new things and helping the city get on board with what the county has that we'd like to see. I've seen the cooperation between the two there and others that have been in the meetings. I think we're getting pretty close. Why don't we start with an MOU? So at some point, the main thing is For the enforceability, that's the biggest concern
Right.
that's been brought up.
Well, let's go around with the county first. I mean, would you rather see an MOU or not?
Well, I think the main concern hasn't really been stated so far is the county's concern that the various issues, be it ridgeline or density or services or whatever it is, will not be followed in the process. That's the concern. And I think the county probably felt it was my impression that we kind of felt that in the local agreement is better because the city would feel more obligated to follow through with those things.
What if I said this? Several of us on the city council are debating the annexation policy plan draft that's coming up this Thursday. And I think the majority of us are saying that we want to table it until the city does pass these ordinances that need to be done that are talked about here, as well as other things. We're not willing to just pass it right now. We're willing to get our ducks in a row and get these ordinances in place before we proceed. Now,
We can't vote tonight, but looking forward to Thursday, we feel there's support for us wanting in place the kind of everything that's brought up here. We probably should have had the bridge ordinance in place before we move forward with red edges. And we think we're premature, some of us, in doing the annexation policy until those are in place. If that's any comfort to the county.
I think in that time, you also need to have some form of enforcement action. Well, to enforce it, there's no sense having an ordinance if you're not going to enforce it.
Good teeth.
Spencer, where are you on MOU?
I think an MOU would be better than nothing, and I would prefer an interlocal.
What do you guys think, Greg and Steve?
Well, I don't know if having an MOU if you don't have any way of enforcing it.
I think MOU and nothing are the same. That's just,
Yeah,
that's just my-
I'll tell you why I believe that it's slightly better than nothing, and only slightly, is that it's the voters who give us their jobs. It's the voters who give the city council members their jobs. And if we enter into an agreement, if the city enters into an agreement with the county and vice versa, then at least you have something to hold up to the voters and say, this council member held up their end. At least you have, and that-
You
to
just
me,
said
that's,
agree.
I'm sorry, MOU. I mean, MOU is a form of an agreement.
I know what you mean.
It's a handshake. So at least, but it's slightly better than nothing. That's why I lean towards it. But I understand what you're saying, that without an enforceable agreement, you almost have.
Both parties are sincere in what they're saying. I don't know why an agreement is bad.
But could I?
And that's, I guess, where I'm coming from. The whole premise of this was to get together for my staff and the city staff to get together to work out the details of what should be done. And when the statement's made, well, but we can't commit ourselves to this because we're probably not going to follow or change it, you're wasting my staff's time. My staff's frustrated because they don't know which direction to go because I guess we're not really agreeing for something. We're just getting an agreement out there so a voter can say, yeah, you guys did an agreement.
Well,
If it's
Well,
really
I mean,
important,
to me,
we should agree.
I
If we
understand
don't
that
agree, we
point.
shouldn't sign it or.
But there's another point to where if we engage the voters to whether the agreement was followed or not. Remember, it was last year, it was I am the one who presented the idea of the interlocal between the city and the county. And it was I who really pushed to create the committee to get it going. I'd rather have an interlocal agreement than an MOU. I'd rather have an MOU than nothing.
Can I comment that when I saw among the council the impasse against an agreement, I proposed the MOU. I worked for the Congress for 9 years. Forest Service had a certain authority. States had authorities. They used MOUs all the time. All the time. Because they had two governmental entities that couldn't almost legally even bind each other. We can't even bind ourselves past the next election, really, in some things. So they sit down and you talked about your two staffs. It isn't a waste if the two planning people get together and say, this is what we'd like to see, and we put it in the MOU. At least there's agreement now. And
Then why not do an agreement.
Well, we've seen the agreement didn't become any more important. I'm saying MOUs say what is intended and wanted and what we're trying to do. I'm saying it's used all the time in a lot bigger governments than sitting around this table. And it seems to work quite well.
They're mainly used because they are breakable. And we do them all the time with our city, with Camas, other cities for response. Because we want their ambulance to respond, and so we agree on an MOU, you charge this much, you charge this much.
But why do you
And
do
when-
them if they're not enforceable?
Because then they can change it and they say, we're not going to honor the MOU anymore, we want $200 instead of $100, and so we're not honoring it. And it's immediately not honored, and if we want to renegotiate a price, we go to renegotiate.
So that's
the
kind of
price.
where the city was feeling, at least some of the times. I told you, I go and agree. But I was playing.
It's almost like negotiating your divorce papers when you get married.
They're called prenuptial. It's done more than you want to pay.
Let's remember that we all represent the citizens, and the citizens cannot understand why the cities and the counties can't get along. They just don't get it. And so, at least an MOU is something. I'd rather to be an interlocal. I understand if I were in your position as a city council member, I'd probably have a different opinion. But,
I would think if he goes ahead with this plan, that they'll put this on hold till they put all those things in place that they've said they will. I think that will allay a lot of our concerns.
You know, the bottom line is the city can annex. They don't need our permission, they don't need our rules, they don't need our ordinances or codes or anything. The city has that right by statute to do that. So it's at your invitation that any of this is done. It's really your issue to deal with. It's not the county's.
Well, and I'd like to see something in writing that would be at least a little bit of guide after I'm gone, you know? You talk about staff time, what about 40 years of elected official time? You're hoping you're making good agreements between the city and the county. An MOU at least puts that in writing. Another council can change it, so can yours change it. But at least it's there for today, what we're trying to do, what we're trying to accomplish. And again, I think there's been a recognition, at least in some of us, that we need to step up a little bit before we take on this elephant that you guys have done a lot more work on. And we need to be sure we're up to it and that we're allaying your concerns before we do it. And so,
I also think that there's some items that we could agree to on the interlocal agreement that wouldn't be a problem, as far as the SSDs, fulfilling what the infrastructure needs are. I mean, I don't think that's an issue between the two. Maybe on the other things, we do an MOU.
Yeah.
we could maybe do some agreement, in other words.
And we are interested in asking the county for something here. At least I'm interested, all right? That if we were to pursue an MOU, that on the south and east side of the future bypass road, that would, of course, be city and develop. But on the north and on the west side of the bypass, is there's any way we could get some kind of agreement from the county to have it remain its historic agricultural use?
As long as it's an MOU, it doesn't matter, we can agree to that. You know,
They nailed it on that.
we went through it, and it took a while, but I think we came to a consensus accidentally. The majority of county council and the majority of city council have said that an MOU is better than nothing. That's an unofficial straw poll that is everywhere. That's where we ended up.
In that agreement that Kendall has, the road letters agreement, there is an appeal process too. We've never exercised it, but if we wanted to, we would have discussions, city, county, on issues, and MAG would be the moderator. I don't know if that's something that you want to have it up to you, but I think there needs to be some accountability. If something goes wrong, we should talk about it.
Well, let me just take Red Edges for a minute. When I first got on city council, they were due to have a road finished, but they hadn't even started. And I frankly ended up, by agreement, the point person for the city. You know, we had red ledges in, seemed like 20 times, but I think it was 5 for 20 hours each. But they didn't want to build that road. And I shared that, at least with Bro and whatever, but
You know what I
the
mean?
county, and I talked to Danny about it, I talked around, you never stepped up to help at all with that. Yet it was it was in your agreement too.
You get forced to road?
Well, to even come to our meeting and say, hey, that was the agreement or anything. It's like you hardly even cared whether we made them do it or not. And we put it off twice already. We put it off one more time till 2019 because I'll still be in by then, unless I die. And I'm gonna make it tough to move on past that one. But,
Well, I gotta say, we took the lead of the city on that because I signed the agreement. And in each case, the city had previously signed the agreement before I did.
no,
So-
I agree with you. We were giving it away really
We
easy.
doubted the city. We figured it was a city road, it was a city jurisdiction, it was a city concern. Why should we tell the city what to do on a road?
See, and this is exactly why we need to continue to have these meetings, so that
No, we didn't.
this historical animosity can start to abate
I was a fan
over
of the
time.
county, I just would have.
Right, but it becomes a tit for tat, a back and forth of things. And so if we just continue to have these meetings and talk about it, but then work towards an agreement of some sort, of fashion, so that we can start to develop, or continue to develop more trust, because I think we do have more trust than we have in the past. And instead of pointing fingers on, well, you did this and you did that, I think we just need to move forward. And then maybe remind, some that, your staff is our staff. It's the people's staff. And the council's, we need to make it clear that this is the direction that we need to move, and we want some of these things to happen. So whether that's, if it's an MOU, and not everybody likes it, but that's what the council has decided that they want to do, we need to do it.
A lot of this is what we've done
Or
so
an
far.
agreement and everybody likes it.
No, I'm okay with either way.
A lot of this that has gone on before was between Doug and Tony and your staffs and whatever. And I hope, I'd like to have you point out what things you think we need to do to be up to snuff. And share with Tony and maybe rely on a little help, whatever we need, but,
But isn't that what an MOU can do, is be that guiding document?
hopefully.
An interlocal would be stronger and better,
Well,
but
I think most of that's on this page right here that Tony prepared.
I
What you're saying.
think he's given a lot of input back. And in fact, moving on some of it, Tony, right, some of what you've already done, Tony, has been in light with what come out of those discussions.
Well, in light of our good conversation, the clock up there says 10 after 7, but I know it's wrong. It's 10 after 8. We've been at it for more than 2 hours.
Yeah. Can I say something?
No, it's not.
1 hour.
1 hour.
It just seems like 2 hours.
Feels like 2 minutes.
You're running the clock both ways, Jeff?
You changed from daylight savings on us right in the middle of the meeting?
One more comment. Mike Peterson's going to have the final word, and then we're going to dismiss until May 8th as far as our interlocal meeting is concerned. Go ahead.
So just a thought back to what Heidi had to say. About some items you might agree to with the memorandum and others with the other.
That's where I'm at.
Right? So maybe what the city could do then is review the list that Doug and Tony have kind of went over, because you put a lot of work into that, and say, hey, these are the things that we could really agree to in an agreement. But these are the ones we want in the memorandum. And then the county council could look at it and say, what really do you have a problem with? Maybe do something like that.
Yeah, I think that's a two-tiered.
Like the districts, that's a no-brainer, we all ought to be able to agree to that, binding whatever it is, that's a no-brainer.
This
Some
kind
that we may need to just work through.
of comes ahead on the gentleman's agreement on the WID annexation in Canada about it. We were looking around for the gentlemen and they'd all retired.
Gentlemen left.
Chair, is it possible for us to talk a bit about the school district's needs and where the county's thinking about the officers in schools Have you had any further discussion with that, or what you're?
You know, we've heard a couple of things. No, she's still here. You know, we've done the temporary couple-week thing with overtime covering, but I had heard, and I haven't seen, that the school district was requesting 4 officers from the county. I don't know how that corresponded to the district, and that was for immediate hire and work later on. I don't have anything from the district.
So in sitting with the school district and negotiation, the school district is looking for 4 school resource officers for the district. We already have 2 in place. You have an officer in place, and I have an officer in place. They're looking for 2 additional, one in Timpanogos Middle School, which they want to be one of your officers. They're looking for a second one in the high school, which they want to be one of my officers, is what we're looking at.
The current one at the high school is a county.
Currently, the high school is a county, and they want to split it. Where the second one would be a city.
We have the current one in the middle.
I've spoken with the superintendent, and we came up with a price on what would be fair to have an officer within the high school. I think what our council is wondering is what you guys are looking at doing, because there's some members of my council that feels that the Wasatch County wants to take over the entire school district, city schools and county schools, and run everything. So I think the question here is that what you're looking at doing? No. And that came from him right here.
No.
Well, we haven't talked to it to that level, but if you're looking at who's going to pay, I guess my first opinion would be the school district ought to pay for it. They serve the whole county, city, whatever. And I guess maybe where that idea comes from is if the school district weren't, if we determined that it was going to be paid whatever, then it ought to be the county pays for it.
Those who have the contract currently, the county and the school district, or you have?
We have some contracts. We have one too, and I've negotiated a rate for the city, and that rate will be the same with the county, just when it's negotiated on your end. So either our end will come up a little bit if you negotiate a higher rate, or it'll stay the same. My understanding from the school district is they're going to offer the same program that they offer us to you as well.
And I haven't seen that yet. And I probably misinterpreted what was said, but I heard 4 deputies or 4 officers
total.
And I assumed there was 4 additional from the county, because at one point they were talking an officer in each elementary and.
Well, that was presented by you, Chief, today, that's what your sheriff still thinks he's going to do.
The sheriff has indicated he wants a school resource officer in each elementary school in the county. We have a different program that we're looking at for our 2 elementary schools here in the city.
He didn't represent that to the council when he came and talked to us the other day.
Okay.
He was talking about 4 additional officers, wasn't he?
He was saying the school district asked him for those.
Okay.
He wasn't representing that he was advocating.
Okay.
And I don't know if he is or not, because it wasn't presented that way.
It might be critical for the school district, a city rep, and a county rep to all get in the same room and understand exactly what's being asked.
And I kind of thought I was in that meeting, I don't want to go read your minutes when you read them and listen to the tape, but I thought there was comments that it's a county-wide school and a county-wide county, and that if the county was going to be funding it, maybe they wanted to control it or manage the officers.
You might be mixing up animal control.
Well, animal control was going this way, and the schools was going this way, and I said, why are we treating things different? You know, but maybe I was mixing some of it up.
Why would we do that with animal control and do something different?
I remember that.
But it's, it's not the same taxpayers. It is if the county and the school does it. But it isn't if Hebert and the school and the county do it. Because we pay our share of the county, we pay our share of the school, we pay our share of our own, and nobody else does. So maybe it was my opinion more than, but I thought I was hearing overtures that the county was looking at doing it, county and school, countywide.
The chief has let us know that it is stretching his force right now.
Yeah. It's stretching the county.
There you go, it's really stretching it. The more we stretch our police out, that they're not able to do the job that we'd like them to do.
I understand.
So we should decide this.
Well, I'd like to
as
see
soon
the
as possible.
proposal. Essentially, what we figured out was that for a full-time officer, about half of their time would be at the school, thinking 177 days. And so about half of their time would not be in the school, the remaining period.
But then you can't hire half an officer, so then it
No, but
comes into our
I guess
budget.
what that means is that if the district is helping to pay for approximately half of the officer, the county would pick up the other half of the officer. And
For
that's
the
where
time they're not at the school.
for the time they're not at the school. So we would look at that, and do we have the funds to do that? Probably. But I haven't seen the proposal yet, so
But I think Councilmember McPhee had the best idea, is that we gotta get the school.
Did you just say that?
I did. I mean, on this one limited item.
Yeah.
It's getting
Amy will get that.
We'll put that in the MOU.
Sorry, Dan.
No, but for the county, the school district, and the city to get
Let's bring this
represented.
meeting to a close before everybody leaves. Thanks for coming. Do I have a motion to adjourn?
I'll make that motion.
We got a motion, we got a second. Do we have a second, sir?
I'll try and reach out to the sheriff and see.
Nope,
if
that's not.
original motion, so.
Adjourn.
Well, they're still talking.
I'm listening to the chair. The chair asked for a motion.
No, I
gave-
know.
The representative from both police and both councils
Go ahead.
And the school district.
on the school.
Can we just turn and set a committee and then we can adjourn?
Yeah.
That's 5 people, right?
By the end of this week, or?
The meeting's done. That's my point the sheriff and I have met with the school district.
The offer's been made, and
The offer's made, it's just I'm first back to our council
Oh, I
because
see.
we met first.
So hold on though, you guys can't commit to ongoing funding for additional officers that we don't have though. You have to have the council to help you figure that out.
Which is what I brought to my council this evening.
But we have differences, my point is, we still have a difference in interpretation of what's being asked for. I know you have it straight in your mind, but I don't think,
The sheriff probably does
the
too.
sheriff might too, but I don't.
And our council decided to put it,
If we have to come with $150,000 to $300,000 for ongoing funding, we gotta know where we're gonna get it.
Which he needs to come back and explain it to you. I've explained it to our council.
in fairness, you haven't had a meeting since, and we just had one.
Oh,
We just entered a budget.
it's discussion meeting anyway. So, yeah.
yeah, have Todd come along. Sorry, chief, I didn't come in.
Okay, are we ready now to adjourn?
Motion to adjourn.
Second.
Where you been? We already did that.